Okay, we're starting the third tutorial on the generation tab, and maybe if we have time, the file tab at the end. I've been looking at how long these videos have been running, and I'm thinking we might be able to include this because there's not too much in the generation tab or the file tab. So once you have your terrain made, this isn't much of a terrain or landscape at all, really. It's just a demo. But once you have it made, you can save it in your file window. But we have to actually make it first. So let's get there. Um, so usually you'd start with no maps. Right now it's not clearing the population map for some reason, but that should be a simple fix. Um, when you go to generate your landscape, I'm just going to get rid of this because it went with the other landscape. When you go to generate your landscape, um, you have all your biomes ready and everything. This is what we had from the last tutorial. Um, you can just click quick generate, or you can click you can specifically generate what you want to. I like just clicking this because it'll generate everything you need in the correct order. And there's the biome coverage map. The biome coverage map specifies where the normal and between type biomes will be, um, because that's all it has enough information to specify. And then it creates a biome edge detection. This is just to blend multiple biomes together. So for instance, if I create another biome here, um, and I generated my coverage map, and it would generate edge detection here, and this is just used as a basically as a blur filter to blur biomes together here. I don't know if you can tell. Not really on here because do we have the, no, we don't have them enabled. So since we don't have the base settings enabled, it's hard to tell. But if we turn that on, it might be able to tell. Yep. Um, you can see this faint line here that actually blurs the biomes together, so they blend together smoothly and there's not a problem. Um, then we have the height map. I'm just gonna calculate this. Oh, yeah, it's because we didn't regenerate the height map that didn't show up. There you go. That's what it actually looks like. The height map it stores the actual heights of the terrain, and since we have the height map now, we can determine where the biomes will show up on the biome map. This will, since they're not using biome boundaries or um, any sort of uh, beach or ocean biomes. So for instance, if I have an ocean biome here and I quick generate again, oh, that didn't work. This should be normal. This should be ocean. Could make it blue just to show that. What do we have our ocean biome set to in the generation settings? Let's set it up a bit higher. And as we can see here, the ocean biome shows up exactly where we expect it to. So, yep. Um, it looks like it, and then we have our density um, calculated accurately. This can work because we have the height map data. So the biome map then uses the height map data and real world positions with the biome bounds here, to then create where the final biomes will actually be. So that's what the maps do. I explained really how the population map works vividly in the documentation, and pretty well in the last tutorial. So since we don't have a landscape here, I'm going to get rid of the ocean biome because we're not going to want that. I'm going to regenerate all our maps. Let's wait for the progress bar to finish up. We have our random seed on. If we turn our random seed on, it will randomize the settings every time we click quick generate. So as you can see, if I click it again, it'll randomize it again. But if I just click the calculate height map, it'll use the seed that's already here. Okay, so we have 3 buttons to generate landscapes. The first button obviously just creates the landscape. That's pretty simple. It creates the asset that is linked to the terrain here and the terrain collider. And I'm going to get rid of this for a second to show off something. If we don't have a landscape already and we try to apply to something, we can then generate a landscape, and it will apply and generate everything. So you can just get your entire landscape at once. So let's generate a landscape, and oh, we already have a landscape there, and it did not have a asset for it. Look at that. And when we generate a landscape, it will show up in our active landscapes here. Okay. So we have this current landscape set to our active, but if we turn it off, we obviously don't have an active landscape anymore. So it uses the first landscape it can find that is active in the editor. And it shows which one it's using too. You can double click on it and it'll show you exactly which landscape it is using. Like that. You cannot select a landscape though. It's a read-only field. So if we only want to apply textures, for instance, we can then go to our generation settings, go to only textures, go back to our tab here. If we don't want all the maps to be shown, we can just close that, and we can click apply, and it'll only apply textures. Same for objects, but there's no point, we already have our textures down. This would only apply objects, but we had our textures down already. So that's what that does. If we don't want our landscape anymore, we can just destroy it. That is the same as deleting it in the editor. So that's what that does. Pretty simple. This should generate just objects, I think. Yeah, it will. So let's go and apply everything actually again. And since it has the same seed, it should apply everything. Yep, in exactly the same spot. So it did reapply the objects, but since it was using the same seed, all the objects were in the exact same spot and did not change. So that's how the buttons work. They're pretty simple. So yeah, we definitely have time to move on to the File tab now. I like this view. I'll move over a bit. So once you have everything, and say you're working on this and you don't have enough time left in the day and you're wrapping up, but you don't want your progress to be lost, and you don't want to count on Unity to save your window layouts and everything, you can go to File, and you can choose a save location to save your profile. So we're going to save it. I'm just going to go to my projects folder here. And save it as projects, landscape generator, tutorials, assets, and I'm going to create a new folder. Oh, whoops. We create a new folder called Profiles and save it here. I'm going to call it tutorial profile. Yeah, obviously you can have space if you want. This will then bring up the path with tutorial profile.asset at the end here, and then we can save the profile. It'll create a profile folder and a tutorial profile asset. Then, for instance, if we try to save our profile again, it'll ask if we want to overwrite it. That will overwrite our profile. And if we choose our save location again, select our profile, it will also ask if we want to replace it there. If you want to load a profile here, so I have autosave on. I'm just going to turn that off for the time being. Close it. Oops. And reopen my generator. I have nothing here, no biomes, no anything. And you go to your landscape profile. There's actually a demo profile already included here that was used for the demo terrain. You can go to your save tutorial profile and you can click apply. You can also just drag and drop your profile in here since they're .asset files, Unity's scriptable object type. You can then just apply and it'll open it right back up to where you were. Autosave, you need to have a save location specified. This will be fixed in upcoming update, bug fix update. But if you don't, it'll basically just make a duplicate window. So it's not that big of a deal, just exit out twice. But this will definitely be saved. So if we choose our save location again, and we have it selected here, if we have this selected, it should work fine. So if we close our window and we have autosave on, right there, throw this error, but it will save our profile into our profile here. Now if you click on your profile, you can actually edit all the settings manually. You can even edit some hidden settings in here. This is only if you need to though. You can actually change where all of the density spots are and their properties, and you can view them. For instance, in the population map here. But changing any of the values is definitely not recommended. Because, for instance, if we change a value in the biomes tab here and we change the biome index to something else, that will throw off the whole biome toolbar. It'll throw off any of the settings that use it, so that's definitely not recommended. But yeah, you can see all the hidden settings are actually used to represent here. It's currently giving type mismatches for the maps. You can still visualize the maps if you open them up. But it will not load the maps into the actual landscape generator. This might just be a memory issue, and this will also be fixed in an upcoming update. You can move these .asset files to different projects if you want to. For instance, if I just show this in Windows Explorer here, you can move the metadata and the asset file to other projects, but this definitely is not recommended because you need to have all of the assets that you have in your current project that it uses here in your other project for the assets to work. All the other settings will stay though, so if you don't care about the actual objects themselves, you can just replace those or any of the textures there. All the settings will save over, and you have to have the landscape generator installed obviously for the profile to work. So that's how profiles, saving, and generation works with the landscape generator. Hope you found this short tutorial series on the Landscape Generator 3 somewhat useful. If you have any more questions, you can contact support at untitledtools@gmail.com, or you could actually first reference the documentation in the documentation folder. This goes very in depth on how everything works, and if you want to see how height map generation works, Perlin noise terrain generation, watch this amazing video by Sebastian Legge. But if you, for instance, have any ideas or feedback, or you have any bugs, there's a bug report form. You can fill it on our website right here. And there are also forums if you would like to just get in contact with other people using a landscape generator, the community. And I think that covers. Oh, you can also follow the development on Trello if you want to. That's what just popped up on the screen. Yep. So that will finish up the tutorial series on the landscape generator. Hope you found it interesting and helped you out a bit. Helped you get started with landscape generator. Yeah, thanks for watching.